we should have something in there, another C schedule that addresses, you know,
Environmental impact of.
Oh.
of development.
Oh, I see, so Schedule C4 is just storm drainage.
It's just storm drainage.
And so what isn't in here is anything including all these.
Yeah,
I see what you mean, okay. So let's, maybe our recommendation is that a schedule, rather than a section,
yeah,
that a schedule
Be created.
or include a schedule on,
environmental impact
yeah, I think it's impact,
schedule.
yeah.
Addressing invasive species management plan.
You know, protection
Protection of
of
critical
critical
habitat. Okay,
habitat,
sure.
threatened species.
Well, so doesn't that get us to the point where the proponent needs to do, have an environmental assessment on the property? Like currently, you only have to have one done if you want to have a variance. Like let's say you want to build your house closer to the shoreline than the OCP allows. In order to get approval of that, you have to have an environmental assessment.
Yeah.
So a biologist
Or
comes in.
if you're in a development permit area, right? There's a couple of times you
Yeah.
have to do that. But I don't think we can make that all the way across, can we? It's a land use bylaw thing.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I mean,
This is a subdivision and development servicing bylaw.
Yeah.
So this would come into play, correct me if I'm wrong, but when
After
there's,
rezoning.
After the rezoning has happened, and this is really a guide for the approving officer, right?
right,
So at the time when the approving officer is making the final little tweaks and going through the PLR process with the
Which is
subdivision.
the preliminary letter of review or something.
for subdivision.
For
So let's say if I
subdivision.
had a lot and I didn't want to subdivide it, I just wanted to put up a house.
and there's a wetland on this lot.
Okay,
Can you fill it in?
and there's a wetland on this lot, but would I need to
No,
do all this?
This will be
No.
referenced.
Right.
We'll have to rely on our existing environmental protection bylaws up front.
For
And
that,
then,
right.
but I think we're okay at the subdivision perhaps to, I mean, we can, as you say, advise, but I think a plan for how, to reduce the spread of invasive species. I don't know if it's too late, so I don't know, because this is something that the approving officer's gonna look at well down the road, so probably the lots have already been cleared. They hopefully have gone through the proper process and having bio determined that they're not doing the work during bird nesting season, that there's no raptor nests.
This is sort of after the plan is approved.
But I think that there should be some accountability, because they check things off, right? They use this bylaw to check, okay, they've done this, they've done this, they've done this. So, you know, sort of a plan on how to, I think, invasive species or protect. I mean, if there are some blue or red listed species on the site, how are they going to in perpetuity maybe protect those trees, or what have they done? I think that might be somehow worked in, and as you say, maybe a schedule that does deal with environmental impacts.
Yeah,
And I mean, if it doesn't fit, the planners may not include it, but I could be a proponent for it if you make the recommendation. And we'll see if it fits. I don't remember seeing that in the Gibson's bylaw, but doesn't say, so we'll just have to work that out. But I think if you recommend it, we can see if we can get it
Okay.
into the bylaw.
So here's
in some semblance of
But
how
this,
you proposed it.
I just want to make sure that my mind is straight. So someone comes and says, I want to develop, subdivide. They have to provide a stormwater management plan and a plan for the roads and a plan for everything else. So I think what we're saying is let's include in it, before things get approved, that you have a plan to protect
yeah.
and control invasive species and that could be another schedule. That's what.
So what it could read, I think you're right.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
It could read, that the committee recommend that bylaw 447, 2017 include a schedule addressing, including an invasive species management plan, protection of critical habitat and threatened species.
But the problem with that is, where is that information coming from? Like, they're not gonna know if there's threatened species. No one is until someone goes in and
Yeah.
actually does an inventory. So are we requiring that they do a biological assessment? I mean, in a way, you know, if they've got, you know, they're making a subdivision.
Yeah.
It
It happens
should
before
happen.
this, so I guess, so
It would
when
happen.
it happens before, because when we get to this point, so it's been rezoned probably because the convention on Bowen is, the lots have been possibly cleared with the proper studies that have already come up and taken place, and not, as I say.
But is it a requirement for a subdivision? Only if it's a development permit area, right? Like, they don't have to have anyone go in and
Mhm.
see if there's critical habitat, if
Mhm.
there's herons, if there's,
If it's herons,
well,
that would be, we have that policy.
okay, but I
And,
mean, any other at-risk species? I'm just wondering, like, you say they have that stuff up front, but I'm not sure that they do have to.
No, they wouldn't.
No.
So what we should
Unfortunate.
do,
Well, yeah,
It's not, I'm not saying we're solving,
how
gonna solve
about we
it
keep,
here,
we keep this recommendation just to the spread and introduction of invasive, the invasive species management plan and the avoidance of leaving sites disturbed for extended periods of time. Because then they'll just become filled with invasive species. So that, it just keeps this one clearer, that it's just about the invasive
Yeah.
species. What do you think about that? So
Mhm.
then, would this be a schedule, or could we just say include a requirement for an invasive species management plan, and the avoidance of leaving sites disturbed for extended periods of time, and appropriate definitions?
The leaving sites disturbed for extended periods of time would really be part of the management plan. I'm not sure we have to
Very good,
state it
okay.
separately. I mean, that would be part of your plan to avoid,
Right,
having.
okay.
the-
So now it says, include the requirement for an invasive species management plan and appropriate definitions. Good? Okay, who's moving this one?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I need you to read that back to me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So we'd taken out the word include a section and changed it to schedule, we're not doing that now?
No, now we're just going, bylaw 447, 2017,
Yeah,
include the requirement for,
include the requirement for
an invasive species management plan.
Where are they gonna put that?
invasive
Right here.
species
No, but in
management
the
plan.
And appropriate definitions.
We'll leave that for the
I'm gonna let them
Yeah.
finish,
planners to figure
yeah,
out.
and appropriate definitions, period.
Definitions, period.
Yeah,
So can I read that back to you?
yeah.
That the Parks, Trails and
That's
Greenways
what you need.
Advisory
Hang
Committee.
on, committee, we're hearing the motion.
Second.
That the Parks, Trails and Greenways Advisory Committee recommend that bylaw number 447, 2017 include the requirement for an invasive species management plan and appropriate definitions.
Anybody want to move that?
And its definition, I'm not,
Okay,
because we say
Okay.
appropriate definitions.
right, it was a little too
sounds-
loose, we could say and its definition.
And its definition.
Yeah.
So DG, I think, just made the comment that where would that go?
Mhm.
There's nowhere in these schedules that would go.
Okay.
It would just maybe be its own schedule. then?
This is a little bit out of the, but when I look at a place that's say full of broom and stuff, what I think would have been good is if there was a bylaw that just said, if you allow a lot of broom to grow, that basically you get fined or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that there's a
A
separate
regulatory
bylaw, like just, you can't do this, guys. You can't let all this
That would
stuff.
be a totally different
Because that's
bylaw.
sort of what's happening, is
And
that
bring it up on
it
the
happens
agenda.
later, like
Yeah.
wait, it can happen anytime, it can happen
Yeah.
5 years
I know
later,
in
but
the-
people do know what's happening, and nobody wants to jump in there do anything about it because there's no payoff to do anything.
Yeah, even Parks Plan, that is the recommendation, environmental management plan, and part of that is an invasive species bylaw, because there's lots
Yeah,
of good
'cause
examples.
I think
Whistler has a good one.
That's what would change practices more than having a nice plan in a thing that you got approved and then,
you ignore it.
you know, you could even
This-
have,
this is-
so half the lots get sold, the other half aren't sold, they're.
But I think having a plan in place
Yeah.
nips it in the bud, right?
At subdivision, yeah.
You know, when you're,
Yeah, but it can happen, they may not, anyways, from what I've seen, it doesn't happen right away. It's like the unsold lots, it's there and all of a sudden it turns into
but
a
it's
real
what, I think
disaster.
it's something,
But know who owns it, like at that point.
But
Hang on,
It could
to
be-
I've got to watch the time. Can you
Anyways.
hold that thought, and let's put it on a future agenda?
Yeah.
Because it's a separate bylaw.
Right,
That
it
would be
is.
a regulatory bylaw. And we have this motion sitting in front of us. Do we need to say that you need to, where to put it, or can we just let it go the way it is now? We're running out of time.
which
They'll
would be,
decide where to put it, we don't have
Yeah.
to suggest
I
where to
think,
put it.
I think that's
Yeah.
true. Okay, so we just heard the bylaw. Can I have a motion and a mover and a seconder? Mark,
I'll move it.
thank you. Martin, seconded. All in favor? Okay, passed unanimously. Thank you. And then, this last one was the part about a section on trail considerations as in section, okay, of the town of Gibson's bylaw, 12.1 and 12.2. What we talked about last month, that I've got in here was, that, we talked about, I don't know whether we want to recommend this, but was that, trails be constructed, before the lots, as we saw on the weekend even with our walkabout, that the trails or be constructed prior to or with the development, not left till later. And the other one was that they be, they include equestrian use unless otherwise specified or something, you know, so that that becomes the baseline. I don't know. We talked about that. I've got it in my notes, but I don't know. What do you think, Bonnie?
And I think it was somewhere that it's sort of like, it's really great, because somebody, okay, so it's not our land, like there's somebody with a big swath of land, it's not municipal land, it's private land. They could put trails in there to beat the band, whatever they want, because it's their land. But I think at the time of subdivision, something to the effect that the trails be constructed, but also a provision that there was some consultation with the municipality to build the trails.
Oh, yeah.
Because often what happens is you get these trails and maybe there's like constructed works in there that are gonna be really high maintenance, or it doesn't quite fit with what we've heard from the public, or they're not equestrian, they're not the right spot for horses, or, I don't know, I just think that there should be some consultation,
Yeah.
or shown that there has been consultation.
In, on 8.2 on page 84, 139, it says multi-use paths shall be constructed adjacent to all trunk roadways and in other locations to be determined by the municipality.
That's
Does
just,
that kind of cover?
sorry, that's 8.2? That's multi-use paths. Those are the big wide ones that can take bicycles and everything. That's a muck. It's a specific kind of path. It's not the same as a trail.
And I think
Okay.
unfortunately, Emma was saying in this bylaw, they have used the word trail, and she's getting them to change that to use multi-use pathway, so that we have that distinction.
Yeah.
Just a question, what is section, can anybody read 12.1 and 12.2 of the town of Gibson's bylaw?
So
Mark?
12.1 states that trails constructed outside of road right-of-ways must consider impact on their surroundings and be designed with consideration for specific environmental needs and in the intended use of the trail.
Okay.
And then there's another section that talks about some of the specific criteria: minimize environmental intrusion, avoid or minimize use of heavy machinery, some specific stuff. But I think this kind of gets it. It's like Bonnie said. It's private property. They can just put in a trail and then come to the municipality and say, we've already got these trails. Having this kind of language, I think, says, I think this bylaw is something that a developer looks at to check what they're going to need, the hoops they need to go through.
Yeah.
So if they see that, well, I want to build some trails to give to the municipality, and here's what they're looking for. So, and it also the municipality can go back and say to the developer, well, we don't want this trail. This trail doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't serve a purpose for us. So, but I think, yeah, the intended use
How
of the
about
trails.
this? Here, I've been scribbling away here. That the Parks, Trails and Greenways Advisory Committee recommend that bylaw 447, 2017, require that public trails be constructed prior to or at the same time as development takes place, in consultation with municipal staff, and including equestrian use unless otherwise approved by the municipality. Something like that. What do you think? Sounds good. Okay? Did you catch that, Lisa? You're doing very well.
The occasional word. So the bylaw number 447
Yeah,
require that public trails be constructed prior to,
yeah, or at the
or
same
at
time
the same time
as development takes place.
as development takes place.
Why are we
comma,
sorry. Why are we requiring them to construct them prior to development?
Because otherwise you end up where we were on our walkabout on the weekend with fences and wells and blasted ponds.
If you look at, say, Arbutus Ridge, one of the reasons why they've got nice trails is because the trails were put in before they put all the houses and the lots and everything. But if you put in all the lots and then you say, oh, and we'll have a trail, and it'll go, because
Yeah,
there's nowhere else to put it, because all the houses,
and sometimes you
Lot
can't
lines are
even put it
drawn.
there because there's no room for it on the level. You
Yeah.
have to go up the stairs.
yeah. So I think it does work better if
Yeah.
it's almost like planning the roads.
Let
You
me,
plan
let
the
me, let me
trails.
help Lisa get the motion up, and then we can,
Yeah.
get the discussion going.
The bylaw 447 require that public trails be constructed prior to or at the same time as development takes place in consultation with municipal staff.
And include equestrian use unless approved otherwise by the municipality.
That
So it's
doesn't
default.
meaning it wouldn't be suitable for equestrian use for some reason?
Meaning they'd have to negotiate to get out of making it
Okay,
equestrian,
right.
is what I mean, yeah.
Does that address, though, the considerations and the, similar to the Gibsons? I mean, what you have sounds good, but it seems to me it's not.
Yeah,
Intended
I'm
to.
adding this stuff. Can you read, what were the Gibsons ones again?
Trails constructed outside of road right-of-ways must consider impact on their surroundings
Oh, yeah.
and be designed with consideration for specific environmental needs and the intended use of the trail. So I don't know if consultation with municipal staff would cover off all of that. Presumably municipal staff would take that into account, or should we spell it out? I don't know.
Should it go to Parks, Trails and Greenways Advisory Committee?
Yeah, yeah.
I was
But
thinking,
you know
oh,
what?
or
That's a good
subdivisions,
idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
area,
Why-
rather than
why
being
would we
the
not
planning,
do that?
or saying, well, we thought these looked great, and then you're like,
Can they? Because we've never been consulted on subdivisions through the past 25 years, except occasionally when the landowner themselves invites us in. Right?
Well, I think that's part of our purpose, right?
Yeah.
And yet we're not doing it, but if a subdivision comes forward, we should, and we're telling them they have to design the trails at the same time as they design the layout
Yeah.
of the lots. Then that should come to this
Yeah.
committee.
Or like, yeah, maybe we could say.
Well, by saying
applicable-
staff bring
We could
things to
say
the-
staff or applicable municipal advisory
Yeah.
committees.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, because
okay.
it may,
So we want to add the
Yeah.
word
Consultation with municipal staff
and/or,
and
or,
or
appropriate,
appropriate
appropriate,
Advisory committees.
yeah.
appropriate advisory.
You do that too, though.
Committees, yeah,
Municipal advisory committees?
yeah.
yeah.
So I think we've been spoiled by
Must think
John
that it is.
Reed because he's been so fantastic, but he didn't really have done it like that. Yeah, the trails.
Well, he wants good development, he knows that, that's my understanding. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think, I certainly over the years, and some of us here have come into places where there's dedicated road right, or trail right of ways, but you can't put a trail on them, because they go through the middle of a wetland, or like see woods back here.
Well,
Up a
Last
face
Sunday.
or something.
Yeah, right, yeah, up a cliff.
Last Sunday was an example of
Yeah.
that, from what we could tell, we were basically, it was impassable.
Yeah.
No horse was going there.
Not even, yeah, not even people, you know. Okay, and what was the other part there, about environmental?
Specific
Well,
considerations.
yeah, this way they're talking to staff and committees, right?
I think so. I'm happy with.
You're happy with it? Okay, are you prepared to move it?
Sure.
Do we want it read back?
Want to read one more time?
Do it.
The committee recommends that bylaw 447-2017 require that public trails be constructed prior to or at the same time as development takes place in consultation with municipal staff and/or appropriate municipal advisory committees and include equestrian use unless approved otherwise by Bowen Island Municipality.
Who would like to move that? Thank you, Christine. A seconder? Thank you, Martin. All in favor? It passes. Great. Thank you very much, everybody.
So that is in place of recommendation number 8.
Yeah. And I propose that we've already gone a little bit over time. We're at 25 minutes until 10, yeah.
Did we leave number 1 and say we're coming back to it?
Number 2, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, you're right, number 2, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the definition of a natural systems, definition of natural systems.
How about, instead, we say in recommendation 1, therefore be resolved, blah, 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 that solutions that consider natural systems or natural biological systems, no capitals, you know, they are what they are,
Okay,
be investigated along with conventional engineered solutions.
Would it maybe, and I'm just tossing it out, that consider natural ecosystem services be better? Or natural ecosystems? Or natural, I don't know, I mean, I think it's a completely different ball of wax perhaps.
Yeah. Well, what we're trying to say though is, like, maybe they could incorporate the natural systems there, but we're also saying maybe they could build something that mimics a natural system and has its own value. So I just don't think we're nailing it.
But
We're-
not capitalizing it is probably the.
Yeah.
I like that, it's nice and easy, because then it just says, recommend that solutions based on natural systems, small,
Well, not based on, but that consider maybe utilizing biological systems. Maybe that's another way of saying it.
solutions utilizing natural systems.
You know what, can we take
Well,
out natural? Because that, it just keeps throwing the wrench in that natural versus
Yeah.
man-made. But if we say biological, we're saying
Okay.
the same thing, but
I'm
without.
just wondering if it's biological, if it's ecosystems.
I think it's called ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because
Because
then you get the
ecosystems are
rainfall.
more than biological, it's not all biological.
Mhm.
There's more to a natural
Mhm.
system than that. Or,
May I
Yeah,
interrupt for one?
yeah.
Well,
one moment?
biology, sorry, go
Hang
ahead.
on, Lisa,
We're talking about recommendation number 1 because
we passed that already,
we passed that one.
yeah.
It was number 2 we were
Well,
going back
but
to.
2 is only based on number 1, wait, we wouldn't have to.
Could we just scratch number 2?
We can scratch 2, I think, and just wordsmith 1.
Yeah, we've gone into a lot more detail subsequently about some of these
Yeah.
issues
So,
and all these other
Do
schedules.
you want me to read back what was passed for number 1?
Do people need to hear number 1 again?
The one that was passed?
No, all it says is that natural systems along with engineered solutions be used. So
Okay,
we need
I've
to
got-
come up
I've
with
got
some sort of
DG and
definition.
then Claudia. DG?
Well, I just wonder, now that I understand a little bit more about how this whole thing works, whether or not what we're really talking about in number one is that, nature-based solutions or ecosystem
What about,
services be considered for the servicing requirements. In other words, I think what we're trying to say is that when you're dealing with water, sewage disposal, storm drainage, highways and streets, we want to, in all these, in the different schedules, we're trying to encourage natural systems along with engineered solutions, right? Isn't that what we're trying to
have
say?
we covered it off in saying that we want an integrated stormwater management approach, though? I mean,
Do we need to
That's-
define what we're integrating though? That's
Yeah, I guess.
like the systems that are used.
but maybe
I
that's in the
think-
definition of the ISMP, that
I'm
I
looking
think
at
it's
the
broader
time,
than that. I think it's
and,
broader than that.
and I'm thinking that, if we, after the meeting, if somebody has a brainwave, because I'm seeing also people fading, and we might start going over old ground, we still got some other stuff to cover.
Can I just say one thing and just, so a municipal natural asset has a definition as the stock of natural resources or ecosystems that is relied upon, managed, or could be managed by a municipality, regional district, or other form of local government for the sustainable provision of one or more municipal services. And that doesn't really sum up a natural, I don't know if that really captures what we're looking for. But I think the point is that it provides a municipal service and is sustainable.
Yeah, I think we need to relate it to the services in the bylaw.
Yeah,
And by just what we've got right now, it's like, well, what is that? Like,
yeah.
So
that's
Mark-
not gonna go anywhere.
Mark, where are you reading that from?
That is the definitions from the Advancing Municipal Natural Asset Management, the town of Gibson. You emailed that around to people.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
It was-
can you read it a little more slowly?
So the term municipal natural assets refers to the stock of natural resources or ecosystems that is relied upon, managed, or could be managed by a municipality, regional district, or other form of local government for the sustainable provision of one or more municipal services. The only problem that I have with that is that when we're saying natural systems, we're also including constructed natural systems, and that doesn't really address that.
Right.
Like, what we're looking for is, don't build a ditch, build a bioswale. Don't,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
that's, we want to convey the notion that it's,
You know what, I think that might be going too far, and I hesitate to say that because I want us to go in that direction. But this is bringing in this whole eco-asset strategy, and we don't have that yet, you know? I don't know, what do people think? Do we want, because we could make this, the other thing we could do is make this another recommendation. Just add it in, let the planners sort it out, we don't have to comb it all through and have everything fit together tonight. Do we want to recommend municipal natural asset strategy?
I think it always sounds like a bigger than
Yeah.
everything else, so I think it's sort of gonna dwarf.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just that I don't like making the first recommendation of using the natural systems to say, clearly defining what we mean by using a natural system. I don't know if it will get lost or not.
well, I think that really what we're doing is just, it was sort of a definitional thing, and then later we talked about stormwater management and erosion control and things
Yeah.
like that, which I think those are the sort of definitions. We can't define every natural system because, you have a textbook,
Yeah. Yeah, I know, you know what, we've also got definitions in the land use bylaw and in the OCP, for example, where things are defined as biota. And, that people have tried to define them there. So I think the planners have access to those other things as well. And I know the OCP talks about natural systems and stuff.
But, what about the point, though, about applying this recommendation number one to the services described in the schedules?
Yeah.
And
We
because I
talked
think,
about solutions.
so for example, I'm sort of starting to think that instead of natural systems, that if we said nature-based along with engineered solutions.
I think that would be more descriptive.
Mhm.
Just
I like
say
that.
it like that,
Yeah.
that
I
it's,
like that
because I could see counselors or the public just, especially when it's in a whereas, I think I really like that. It's exactly what we're talking about. It's
Okay.
just-
So we need
It's
you
not
to
a
say it
fancy
again.
term, but it's
Yeah.
exactly what.
Well, I think, so it would be whereas natural systems, which with no capital N or S,
Mhm.
are important in mitigating climate change impacts and impacts from stormwater runoffs. There it be resolved that the PTGAC recommend that nature-based solutions along with engineered solutions are added to, and this is where I'm not so sure, should we say appropriate schedules in draft bylaw number
Yeah.
447,
Mhm.
something like that?
Okay, be included in. So what we might want to do is rescind our earlier recommendation number 1, right?
Mhm.
Are we taking it down?
Can you say that one more time?
Or are we just revising it? We're just revising it? What
We're
can
just
we do with this
revising
again, remember?
We're revising.
So you don't want to,
We've changed our mind,
So we
we're,
should
we're,
write-
on number
On number 1.
24 hours.
I would say rescind it and go
Yeah.
with the whole
Fresh one.
fresh
Well, it's-
one. Sorry, I've lost my place here.
I mean, it's not really that different, it's
No,
not,
but I
but
want to get the wording right if I can find it here.
So what was the last part you said after, along with engineering solutions, instead of are added, what did you say?
I
Be
said,
included in appropriate schedules.
yeah,
Okay, I'm just going
I like
to
it.
do this.
well,
That nature-based solutions be considered.
Nature-based solutions along with engineered solutions, was it solutions? Yeah. Be included in appropriate schedules.
Sorry, I'm just trying.
That's good.
be included, I mean, they'll have to wordsmith it a bit.
Yeah.
Let's not beat ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that explains.
But we're not
what the
setting up
process is
natural
anyhow.
systems as a target to be shot down
Right.
or
Exactly.
wrestled over.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So,
Sorry.
first I need a motion to rescind our previous recommendation 1. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you, Claudia, and all in favor? Great, that one's gone. So our new one is based on the old one. Would you like me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay, whereas natural systems, No
And
caps.
that's,
No caps.
whereas natural systems
are important in mitigating climate change impacts,
and impacts from stormwater runoff.
comma,
There-
therefore be it resolved, recommend that nature-based solutions,
Or nature-based along with engineered solutions.
okay,
Nature-based along with engineered
solutions,
solutions
be included in appropriate schedules.
included in,
Yep,
in,
appropriate
Oh.
schedules.
I'm gonna just interject because what we want them to do though, is
Hang on,
add
hold on.
wording.
But hang on, of draft bylaw 447.
Sorry, I
217.
got excited then.
It's okay.
It
What I
happened.
want to do is make sure we've got it captured, and I want to see if we've got a mover and a seconder, and then we'll discuss. I'm going to bring a little more formality in here.
I'll move it.
Okay, DG?
do you want me to read it back one more time? From the therefore be it resolved part?
Sure.
Therefore be it resolved that the Parks, Trails, and Greenways Advisory Committee recommend that nature-based along with engineered solutions be included in appropriate schedules of draft bylaw 447, 2017.
Yeah, and I've got a motion from DG. Okay, what are you going to say?
Okay, but we're asking, our recommendation is that wording that indicates to developers that nature-based solutions along with engineered solutions be investigated. But I think the way we've just read it out, we're saying nature-based along with
Engineered solutions.
solutions are added to the bylaw? No, we're not adding solutions to, no. Our body's in agreement.
Or considered?
Not, no,
No,
that's not what it
no.
reads. It reads included, not added, not
Be
added.
included in the.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we're
schedules.
not, we're not
talking
saying
about-
include solutions in here. We're saying we want wording that recognizes.
Nature-based along with engineered solutions be considered, and such wording be included in appropriate schedules?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
something to that effect, 'cause
Okay,
we're not,
Yeah.
we don't have the solution.
Okay, so after
Oh, I
engineered
see.
solutions
Yeah,
be
it's-
considered,
Semantics.
Yeah,
Very good.
no,
Semantics.
no, because,
Sorry, I wasn't clear about what
No,
this
no,
from.
makes sense.
considered,
All right, should I read
And-
that one more time?
yeah,
Therefore, be it resolved that the Parks, Trails, and Greenways Advisory Committee recommend that nature-based along with engineered solutions be considered and such wording be included in appropriate schedules of draft bylaw 447, 2017.
Yeah, I think we got it.
okay, that's good. So DG and Claudia, are you moving and seconding that?
Sure.
Okay, and all in favor? Well done. Good word. Very good. Thank you, Lisa. I give you a
are you enjoying your time back?
Yeah, our meetings are always
You
frustrating.
thought it was
Yeah,
gonna be the Parks Committee.
we always have 20 million different motions.
3 years out and 9 years back.
She's never gonna come back.
Okay, I'm gonna move us on really quickly because it's 10 to 9.
Yeah,
I gotta leave
at 9.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. 5.2, Salal Road rezoning application. This is the walkabout that we did on Sunday. And so what I will do maybe is ask somebody who was on that walkabout